Why did the United States drop the atomic bomb on Japan? This question has sparked debate for decades, and the answer is far more complex than a single reason. To truly understand this pivotal moment in history, we need to go back to the final, brutal year of World War II. By mid-1945, the war in Europe was over. Hitler was defeated, and the Allied forces could now focus their entire might on the Pacific theater against Japan. Despite being pushed back across the Pacific, Japan's military leadership showed no signs of surrender. They were prepared to fight to the last man, woman, and child. This was a core part of their Bushido Code, which viewed surrender as the ultimate dishonor. The battles of Iwo Jima and Okinawa were terrifying previews of what a full-scale invasion of Japan would look like. On Iwo Jima, a tiny volcanic island, nearly 21,000 Japanese defenders fought almost to the death. Only a few hundred were taken prisoner. The United States suffered over 26,000 casualties, including nearly 7,000 killed. It was one of the bloodiest battles in Marine Corps history. Then came Okinawa. This was even worse. The fighting lasted 82 days. The Japanese employed kamikaze attacks on a massive scale, sinking dozens of ships and killing thousands of sailors. On the ground, the combat was savage. In addition to the immense military casualties on both sides, over 12,000 Americans killed and an estimated 110,000 Japanese soldiers. The battle claimed the lives of as many as 150,000 Okinawan civilians, nearly a third of the island's population, caught in the crossfire or forced into combat by the Japanese army. These casualty figures were staggering, and they deeply worried American military planners. The planned invasion of the Japanese mainland, codenamed Operation Downfall, was projected to be a bloodbath on an unimaginable scale. It was set to begin in November 1945 with an invasion of Kyushu, the southernmost main island of Japan. Military estimates for potential American casualties varied wildly, but some were horrifyingly high. Generals projected anywhere from 250,000 to over 1 million American casualties, with Japanese casualties, both military and civilian, expected to be many times that number. Japan had been mobilizing its entire population. They were training civilians, including women and children, to fight with bamboo spears and makeshift weapons. The idea was to make the invasion so costly that America would be forced to negotiate a peace that left the Japanese military regime intact. It was in this context that the Manhattan Project came to fruition. This top-secret program had been working since 1939 to develop a nuclear weapon, initially spurred by fears that Nazi Germany might build one first. By July 1945, the United States had successfully tested the first atomic bomb in the New Mexico desert. President Harry S. Truman, who had only learned of the project after Franklin Roosevelt's death in April, was now faced with a monumental decision. He had a new weapon that could potentially end the war quickly, without a costly invasion. The primary justification given by Truman and his administration was straightforward: to save American lives. By using the bomb, they argued, they could force a swift Japanese surrender and avoid the catastrophic casualties of Operation Downfall. This was the most powerful and public argument at the time. On July 26, 1945, the Allied leaders issued the Potsdam Declaration, calling for Japan's unconditional surrender. The declaration warned of prompt and utter destruction if Japan refused. The Japanese government, dominated by military hardliners, ignored the ultimatum. To them, unconditional surrender was unacceptable. It implied the removal of the emperor, who they considered a divine figure, the very heart of the Japanese nation. Faced with Japan's silence, Truman gave the order. On August 6, 1945, the B-29 bomber Enola Gay dropped an atomic bomb, nicknamed Little Boy, on the city of Hiroshima. The city was a significant military and industrial center. The explosion was devastating, instantly killing an estimated 70,000 people. The long-term death toll from radiation sickness would raise that number far higher. Still, Japan did not surrender. The military leadership was in shock, but some believed the U.S. couldn't possibly have another such weapon. They argued to continue the fight. Then, on August 9th, two major events happened. The Soviet Union, honoring its agreement with the Allies, declared war on Japan and launched a massive invasion of Japanese-held Manchuria. This was a huge blow to Japan's strategic position. Their hope of using the Soviets to mediate a peace was shattered. Just hours later, the United States dropped a second atomic bomb, Fat Man, on Nagasaki. This city was another key industrial hub. Though the hilly terrain limited the bomb's devastation compared to Hiroshima, it still killed an estimated 40,000 people instantly. The combination of the two atomic bombs and the Soviet invasion was the final straw. The Japanese War Council was deadlocked. The militarists still wanted to fight on, but Emperor Hirohito, in an unprecedented move, intervened. He told his council that the suffering of his people was too much to bear and that they must endure the unendurable and accept surrender. On August 15, 1945, the people of Japan heard the voice of their emperor for the first time, announcing the surrender. World War II was finally over. So, was the primary reason to save lives? Many historians agree that it was a major factor. The prospect of Operation Downfall was genuinely terrifying. However, other factors were likely at play. One significant theory involves the Soviet Union. The Cold War was already beginning to simmer beneath the surface of the wartime alliance. Some historians argue that the bombs were dropped not just to defeat Japan, but to demonstrate the immense power of the United States to the Soviets. By showing that America had a functional and devastating new weapon, it could intimidate Stalin and give the U.S. a stronger position in the post-war world, particularly in shaping the future of Europe and Asia. The timing of the bombs, right before and during the Soviet entry into the Pacific War, lends some credence to this geopolitical argument. There was also the sheer momentum of the Manhattan Project itself. The U.S. had spent $2 billion, a colossal sum at the time, and utilized the brainpower of some of the world's greatest scientists. There was immense pressure to use the weapon to justify this enormous investment. To some, not using the bomb after developing it was almost unthinkable. Furthermore, a desire for retribution cannot be ignored. The American public was furious over the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The war in the Pacific had been marked by extreme brutality, including the Bataan Death March and the treatment of prisoners of war by the Japanese military. For some, the atomic bombs were seen as just retribution for Japan's actions. The decision also wasn't made in a vacuum. The Allies had been engaging in extensive firebombing campaigns against Japanese cities for months. In March 1945, a single raid on Tokyo killed an estimated 100,000 people, a death toll comparable to the initial blast at Hiroshima. From the perspective of wartime leaders, the atomic bomb was seen as a more efficient, powerful version of a tactic they were already using. It was a quantitative leap in destructive power, but perhaps not a qualitative one in their minds. So, why were the bombs dropped? The most honest answer is that it was a combination of all these factors. The desire to end the war and save American lives from a bloody invasion was the primary public reason and a very real concern. But the looming shadow of the Soviet Union, the immense investment in the Manhattan Project, and a climate of total war where cities were already being incinerated, all created a perfect storm of circumstances. The debate over Truman's decision will likely never end. Was it a military necessity that saved more lives than it cost? Or was it a geopolitical power play that ushered in the nuclear age? It's a question that forces us to confront the terrible moral calculus of war. Understanding the full context doesn't necessarily make the answer any easier, but it shows us that this defining moment of the 20th century was anything but simple. Thank you for watching. If you found this exploration of history valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the events that shaped our world. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.